Welcome back to Tea with the Experts and Dr. Leah Merle. This is season 2 of the What Is series. I'm Dr. Leah Merle, counsellor educator, trauma-informed coach, and lifelong advocate for compassion, curiosity, and courage in how we live, work, and connect with others. This season, we're taking our conversations even deeper, exploring how science, story, and souls come together in the human experience, from what is healing in a neurodivergent world to what is the link between temperament and sleep. We'll also be diving into what is burnout recovery, what is ethical AI and mental health, what is collective healing, because healing, after all, is never one-dimensional. What is trauma-informed leadership, what is culturally competent and responsive care. Each episode uncovers the human side of helping, where empathy meets evidence. My goal, as always, is to create a space for nuance, honest dialogue, and kind conversations that you can sit with on your own, individually, or with others over a cup of tea, whether you're a clinician, a parent, a coach, or simply somebody on a journey of growth. You'll find insight, empathy, and perhaps a little inspiration in each episode. So settle in, pour yourself something warm, and join me for season 2 of Tea with the Experts and Dr. Leah Merle, where we keep asking the questions that matter most. Bye for now. Hello, welcome to season 2 of the What Is series. This is episode 3. And today I'm going to be joined by Mary O'Sullivan, who is an integrative counsellor, a mental health advocate, a guide in meditation and sound-based nervous system work. I'm really excited for her to chat with us today. And Mary brings a real rare blend of lived experience, therapeutic training, and really heartfelt compassion, really, to everything she does. She has a background in integrative counselling, hospice work, radio broadcasting, and as well as community mental health. And her work is really grounded, relational, and deeply human. Through her counseling practice at Sunshine and Showers Counselling, I love that, Mary supports people to reconnect with who they truly are beneath anxiety, trauma, and conditioned beliefs. She uses approaches drawn from person-centered therapy, CBT, compassion-focused therapy, as well as embodied mindfulness. What I especially love about Mary's work is really how she bridges talk therapy with somatic and sensory-based healing, including guided meditation and sound therapy, which is what she's going to talk to us today about. This really helps people regulate their nervous systems, feel safe enough in their bodies, and really gently return home to themselves. Hi, Mary. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. I really am, to be able to talk to you about your special niche within counseling and your modality. So thanks so much for your time and for being here.
Honestly, you're very welcome. I really am excited to be here. It's a real pleasure and excited to be able to talk about my work. Really am.
Well, why don't we just start there, Mary? You're a counsellor, an integrative counsellor. How did you get into this field? Let's start there.
Okay, so my journey actually started about 23 years ago. There was an event happened in the family that kind of sent rippling waves throughout. And it was recommended for me to go for therapy, for counselling. And I'm 55 now, so that's quite a few years ago. I was a lot younger. And I went to those sessions, and I think it was about 6 sessions back then. And the lady I worked with, the work she did was amazing. But I think I was already kind of an open book to kind of go there. I just was never sure how to. So therapy offered me that opportunity to explore myself, which at the time I didn't even know who myself was. I didn't know I existed underneath all of those different labels and roles I was playing as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, as an auntie, as a daughter-in-law. All those roles that I fitted into. And, the question was said, well, where's Mary? And I'm like, oh, I've never thought about that before. Where is Mary? have no idea. So, and even at that time, crazily enough, I didn't even know that this thing that was going on inside of my body was called feelings and emotions. I didn't know that. And I just know that my body was kind of ruled by the thoughts I had. So from that moment on, I kind of made a pledge to myself and a promise to myself that everybody needs to have access to something like this. And I will do whatever it takes to get to the point where I can help others to reach the same place. And so my journey began there. And life happens as it does. I had my children young. I was married. Lots of things happened in between. It wasn't the right time. I did actually start the counselling. I did the level 1 and 2. Loved it. Got to the diploma level 3. Got to 3 months towards the end. And I self-sabotaged, as we are, so good at doing. And it was a book critique. And I just thought, I'm not clever enough. I can't do this. And all the fears came up inside of me, which I wasn't aware that was happening then. But of course, now I can look back and know that. And I just thought, no, and I found all the excuses under the sun as to why I shouldn't do this. So I left. And it was 3 months before the end of getting my diploma. So life carried on, kept on going. I divorced my first husband. Kids were starting to grow up. And I met my second husband, John, and he was part of a charity at the time working with mental health. Fabulous work they were doing. And I kind of was coming along to some of the courses and doing that. We looked into possibly being able to deliver some of these courses. But my concern was that when we're working with mental health, we really need to know what we're talking about and what we're doing, because this is such a precious thing that we are working with, that we have to be so careful. So I'd already touched on about doing my counselling years before, and he encouraged me to go back and complete the level 3. So I did that about 10 years ago, and it wasn't even about getting the qualification. It was the fact that I completed it with the right support, the right environment, the right encouragement, the right environment. And I completed that, and that was great. And then we talked about John doing it. So John went on and he did it. He got to the point of the degree stage and he said, do you want to do the degree? Well, I still wasn't ready. So I'm like, no, you carry on. I watched him do the degree and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. No way I'm doing that. And I dipped it out of jobs a lot of time. But by that time I was starting to grow a lot as a person, because again, given the right environment. And I kind of got to the point in my life where I would listen to people and we would share problems, things that happen in people's lives. And I started to find that I was very good at listening, because I hadn't been all the years. I think because I was so lost myself, I just wanted to blurt all my stuff out. And I was thinking, I've always had this caring, thoughtful side to me, and it was coming out more and more and more the longer I was with John. And so once he completed his degree and COVID kind of just hit, and I really wasn't keen on doing it online. I'm a people person. I like to be around people. So when the integrative course came up, and it wasn't online, it was back in the classroom learning, I bumped into a friend downtown and they just said, look, there's interviews happening and I'm going for an interview. And there was something in that moment told me, this is the now, I've got to go and do this. And I'm a big believer in things happening at the right time. And this was so perfect for me, and to do the integrative course, because when I've done my attachment style recently, which this is kind of something we develop early on, which I know some of the viewers, aren't too familiar with, but it's a really interesting thing to look up and to figure out for yourself. When I've done that even recently, my percentages in all 4 areas are very similar. So the integrative course was actually perfect for me, because I fit into every kind of category. I don't fit into any category. I'm just kind of a freelancer, and I think I'm just, as a human being, there is no box to fit in. Yeah, but integrative approach. Yeah, it suited me, absolutely suited me, that we can cover all areas of life. And I love that. So yeah, I went on and did the integrative BA, and I had no intentions of doing the MA. But we know how convincing Lindsay Moses can be, the course lead. And I went to one of her showcases and we did a little bit of work with a little stone. And I just thought the personal development and self-awareness that I would get from the MA. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking about my private practice, which I'd set up prior to this. And I just thought, I need to do this. So now I'm 5 months off completing my MA, and it has had such a huge effect on my life, being absolutely blown my mind, but it also hugely impacts work with clients as well.
Yes, that's it. You're talking about like a calling, Mary. You were called to this field and called to this profession. And, I am woo woo, right, as they say, but I try not to get like too spiritual for those people who that's just not their thing. However, a lot of people that I know in this field talk about this thing and it's kismet. Like it just, you get led into the work and you have to be a certain person with a certain character and certain, um, maybe in some ways, life experience to be able to do, right, to do this work. And that's what I love about your experiences. That's what you're speaking about, right? If it wasn't right, it wasn't right, it wasn't right, but then it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did hit on the right time. And even things like law of attraction, synchronicity, all of that features in my life. And now, I'm kind of able to share that and advocate for that and say to people, look, don't ever give up. I knew back then that I wanted to find a way to help people to be seen and heard. That everybody deserves to be seen and heard for who they are, not what everybody expects them to be, not what partners, what parents, employees, tutors. Nobody has a right to kind of demand that of people, and everybody has a right to be who they are. And I wanted to provide that space, and I've been doing that for 2.5 years now.
I love it. I get goosebumps. And that's one thing that I will say in my short time that I've known you this year. And we know each other from the college, Bishop Auckland College. We should give them a plug.
Oh, absolutely.
And a fantastic program that is an integrative counselling and now psychotherapy studies masters. That's how we know each other. But also, you are real. You are, when I think about authenticity as somebody who shows up as themselves, in a balanced way too, I think. But
Yeah.
doesn't lean away from all that hard stuff or all, you're that balance and you just show up as you are, Mary. Love that about you.
Yeah. I don't think I can be anything else other than real, to be honest, Leah. I think people have tried to shut that down in me over the years, experiences growing up, like, just be quiet. And, I always remember like my mum saying to me, and like, we're great now, we've got a great relationship, we built on that. But she used to say to me, your mouth will get you into trouble one of these days. And like, my mouth's my selling point. But I'm actually a really good active listener as well now, which is obviously, that's one of the skills that we use in counselling, because it's not about telling our clients what to do. It's about helping them to find what they want to do and what's right for them. But yeah, and there's been a lot of changes in me over the years. Friends and family have seen that, but then that's had a rippling effect. The changes in me, the inner peace and calm that I have now found, and the understanding of myself really ripples throughout the community that I'm surrounded in, family, friends, and the wider community.
I love that. Wow. What modeling, Mary. And obviously you're about to graduate very soon.
Oh no, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Your master's in psychotherapy studies. It is really, really exciting. So kudos, for all of that work that you work. And I feel like it's amazing. And I know you have your own private practice.
I do.
So let us know right now, what's your business called, Mary? So if people after the podcast would like to reach out to you to kind of talk to you or gain, take you up on your offer of counselling services, where you reach out to?
So I'm predominantly on Facebook. I do need to get a website set up because I've been focusing on studying, and I focus on running the Facebook page. And I am called Sunshine and Showers Counselling. And there's even a story behind that.
Tell me the story.
So the name came up because years ago, because people always know me as this loud, crazy lady, and the inner, more spiritual side of me, the woo-woo stuff, I kind of kept quite hidden from a lot of people, and even realizing my own purpose of why I feel like I've been put on this planet. I hid all of that. So I kind of very slowly needed to introduce myself to the world, to the alternative side or the real side of me. So years ago, I decided to start sharing positivity into the world. I thought, how can I do this? I thought, one day I'd kind of put up a post about life not all being about sunshine, that we also have showers, and it's learning how to deal with that. So from that, there was, when the history comes up on its Facebook wall. So a post had come up and it said about this, and I thought, oh, that might be an interesting title for a page to start sharing the positivity. So I created just a page of sunshine and showers to spread awareness of positivity and self-awareness and personal development. And I just opened it up from there. And then when it came around to deciding to set my own practice, because my husband's got his own practice and we were going to go in together, but it became quickly clear that we don't work the same, and I really know I want to have my own practice. So I'm thinking, right, what do I call myself? And then this day, there was some history came up and the sunshine and showers came up, and I thought, that's who I am. I'm sunshine and showers counselling. Because, and what I say is, life's about sunshine and showers, and let me help you find your rainbow in between. And that's where that came from. And then, but I also kept the other page going because I started a new page of the counselling, and I just recently turned that into sunshine and showers holistic healing. But I wanted to keep them quite separate because, as you've said yourself, Leah, that sometimes people seeing the woo-woo, it can put them off because not everybody is familiar with that. They're not open to that yet, or they just don't know it yet. So I wanted to keep that holistic therapy separate from the counselling to make it accessible to everybody. So yeah, that's where the name came from.
I love that. And you're trying to kind of gently integrate it into your practice. And that's one of the questions that I have today to ask you as well. I'm so interested in guided meditation. I do use that in the work that I do with some clients, but also sound therapy. So are you going to talk to us about that today, Mary?
Yeah, well, that came from the sound therapy. It's really exciting, and I love the work that I'm doing. It's it's slowly trickling through, working in the community, but really bringing it in, working in practice with the clients as well. And this started off because we were very blessed when we started off on the training course with the BAs. I mentioned Lindsay Moses, running that course and creating that course. She very beautifully offered us a sound bath at the end of the first, as a treat, as a reward, at the end of the first year. And I remember my first experience with the gong whisperer. Huge gongs, beautiful gongs, and we're all laid down in the gym area of the college, Bishop Auckland College, and we just laid there, and the music started small and it started getting big. And I remember my first experience. I was actually having a scary moment. I had fear kind of took over my body, and I'm like, what's going on? Because they're quite loud, the gongs. And if anybody's ever experienced the loud gongs, they can be quite, they really resonate through the body. And the frequencies really hit places. And I remember lying there thinking, oh, I don't know if I like this. This is quite scary. But then I just kind of went into breathing and still not fully aware of the breath work at that point. But I just thought, right, just calm down, Mary. You're okay. You're all right where you're at. And I allowed myself to just be immersed in the sound. And then by the end of it, I was just like, wow, that was amazing. What an experience to have. And I just thought, I really enjoyed that at the end of it. And especially my favourite turns out to be the koshi chimes. They're so gentle. And what it kind of brought up in me was that, like, I kind of went back to childhood. Memories were coming up. Emotions were coming up. There was lots of things really opening up. And it was so lovely. And I just thought, oh, no, I quite fancy some more of this. So then there was me and a fellow cohort went to more sound therapies. And I really enjoyed it. And then I went to smaller ones and I was thinking, I'm really enjoying this. So I bought myself a singing bowl and just started playing with it, a Tibetan singing bowl.
Wow.
And then I got gifted one, and then my husband bought me one. And it just started to grow from there. And I thought, this is something I can incorporate into therapy.
Powerful.
And then John bought me tuning forks for Christmas a few years ago. So I started playing with them and learning about them and understanding them and about the frequencies. And I've still got a lot to learn about the frequencies. I'm not too knowledgeable about them yet, but this is something that I'm going to look into once the MA is finished. But I knew enough about it to know that it could have an impact and affect somebody, because it was with me. So that's where that journey started from for the sound therapy.
It's incredible. And as you share, really, really powerful, and something just resonated with you. But I have a question about like what was happening in your life at that time that this modality kind of resonated with you so significantly.
I think there was a lot of changes happening for me because it started on the BA and the counselling course, for people that aren't familiar out there, it's a wonderful course, but it's not the easiest, but it's so beneficial. It's life-changing. It has been for me.
Mm.
And when I was starting that course, I was going to places inside of myself that I didn't even know existed.
Right.
And there was things coming up in me like my childhood, and not necessarily memories, but just feelings and emotions, which would then bring up the memories. And it was kind of a difficult transition, going from the Mary that was to the Mary that is, but the Mary that I am. And I think for me, the sound therapy, what that did, the sound bath did, it kind of opened that up even more for me. It allowed me to step into another vortex of myself, into a vortex of my soul that had remained hidden for years. So it unblocked so much, so that the continued training, I was able to use that to come up to actually learn more. So when we go through the development stages, the attachment styles, learn about the different modalities, it was all starting to really make even more sense because the emotion that the sound bath was opening up was connecting with what I was reading and what I was watching and what I was learning.
Yeah. And it's on a body-based level, right?
Yeah.
This
Very embodied.
you in a somatic, that's what I'm looking for, like in a really deeply somatic way.
Absolutely. And that is, for me, that has been my biggest way of learning, is that somatic awareness. And this is what I promote with clients. Say, look, the more you listen to yourself, the more you go into those feelings, those emotions, the more you get to know yourself. Because the layers and layers and layers and the conditioning and, the expectations and the demands that are being put on you has covered all of that, has covered the emotions and, the numbness and the shutdowns. They are survival techniques, which I had used so much over the years. Hadn't been aware of it until the training. But then the sound bath was opening all that up. It was helping to uncover those layers and for me to find to actually, those feelings and emotions, to connect with them, to really connect with them and to listen to those and think, right, what does that mean? What is that trying to tell me? And really listen to myself. A beautiful, absolutely beautiful experience.
And the listening is key because what we know about trauma is that it's stored in the body, right? Bessel van der Kolk talks about that, the body.
Absolutely, body keeps all.
Right? But this work, when we're dealing and managing and working with body-based modalities, it bypasses the verbal, right? So it bypasses that verbal part of not being able to talk about the trauma, right? It's deeply rooted and it's able to kind of come out in more of an organic way, which is why I love any kind of somatic body-based intervention. But I know we've talked about this kind of offline, but this work, this modality specifically, when we're thinking about either guided meditation, but particularly, the sound work that you're talking about, it can be really intimidating for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was my first experience. It really was. And that's why I think that's because of my experience, and I know it's mine and it's not everybody else's, but I'm mindful that I tailor what I offer to people. When I listen to them, I really listen to what they want, what they're looking for. And when I've worked with instruments, even afterwards, I'll say, right, what did you feel? What came up for you? Which sounds actually felt better? Which sounds weren't so good for you? And then I'll know in the next session, right, which one I'm going to, focus on, which ones I might not so much. And even when I'm working in the community, when I deliver sessions in the community, it's a felt sense that I get when I'm even walking around people with some of the instruments, because the crystal balls and Tibetan balls are on the table that I use, and some of the chimes. But mostly when I can walk around and so people get a more immersive experience, I'll do that. But even then, it's kind of the people that I've talked to and being around them, I get a felt sense of right? This person might need a little bit more of a lingering with this sound. I might need to dull it down a little bit. I might need to ramp it up a little bit. So it's really about being mindful, and that, I think, that energy connection with clients, in the room or with participants in the community. It's really, and because I know myself and because of what the sound bath's done for me, and getting to know myself and that embodiment and the somatic awareness that I now have, then when I hear other people, I can really go there with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. And it's a journey, right? And you're individualizing. You're individualizing the session or the work that you're doing based on the client's need, which is extremely integrative. I'm wondering what would you like people to know about utilizing sound therapy as a tool? Like, what do you think they would need to know?
Well, it has many benefits, sound therapy, and it's, research has shown things like help with anxiety, depression, some ailments, blood pressures. It helps to regulate blood pressure, and it helps to, what it does is it helps to regulate the whole system and to actually bring it back into your own natural balance. Because when we're living life, sometimes you can be on edge because of things going on. So that fight or flight with the anxiety, depression, when we're carrying loads of things and it would just weighs heavy on us, and blood pressure, which I have suffered for in the past. But that all seems to be settling down because of my new lifestyle with, the meditation and the sound therapy. So there's so many benefits to actually having sound therapy, and it just seems to reset everything, because the vibration of the sound, because we are made up of 60 to 80% of water, and our emotions are held mostly in that. So the vibration kind of immerses in that, and it helps to just calm everything and reset everything. And so, yeah, there's so many benefits to it.
And then when you say sound therapy, right, it sounds a bit like, I mean, what comes up for people when they hear that based on your experience?
Do you know what? I've actually never really asked people, and that would be an interesting question to ask, what would come up for people when you hear sound therapy, because the reason I call it sound therapy as opposed to a sound bath, because your sound bath is the same thing. You're immersed in the sounds, but with sound therapy, because I am a trained integrative therapist, because of what sound can actually uncover for you and bring up for you, and it can be quite uncomfortable, and it can be a little bit scary. But because of my training, I can be with that person.
Yeah.
I can really be with them and get them back into a safe space. And even the choice, the format that I chose to work with, and actually I do it actually, even when I think about it now, privately with clients as well. So I've chosen a particular format so that if sound brings anything up, the final guided meditation, which is only a short one rather, the one I use, it helps them to put it down, not forget about it, but put it down until they're in a stronger place to actually deal with that and not have to carry that with them before they go home. Because that was, to me, was the most important, to make sure that the clients and the participants are in a safe space. That's my responsibility to do that.
I love that you have mentioned that and really explicitly stated that, because that's ethical practice, right? That's part of what we do as ethical practitioners. I mean, it's always about the client's needs first and me and where they're at, like very Rogerian, person-centered. But you're talking about, a modality here that can go quite deep, quite quickly. Ethically, you are working with the client to make sure that what comes up is not dysregulating them too much to go kind of back out into their world.
Absolutely, because it is a responsibility, and it's and morally, for me myself, even my training aside, I just would not want to do that to another person. I want to make sure that they are in a safe place to actually go out there, because when they leave my sessions, they're only with me for that 50-minute session. They are with me in that counselling hour, or when I deliver in the community, they are with me for that hour, and then they go out and they have to live in their world. And I need to make sure they can do that as safely as possible. Even the fact of mentioning to them, you'll process when you leave here, and giving them skills like, do you journal? Do you diary? If you don't do those, voice note, put notes on your phone, find a way whatever comes up, to get it out. It doesn't have to be chapter and verse, but just get it out. Don't let it sit inside, because that's when actually the damage can happen. You need to get it out.
Mm. Oh, I love it. I got goosebumps again. Yes, that's it. It is. It's therapeutic to get it up and out, right, of the vessel that is the body. And I know you do this work quite consistently with clients and the work that you do. And I guess I'm wondering about kind of when you think about this work, like what have you noticed that clients experience? Like what have they shared with you? What shift kind of bring about within their life? Are there any kind of moments or things that you can share regarding the work with people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I get is a lot of feedback is this sense of peace and calm. They feel a lot of people can fall asleep during it. And even though they fall asleep, crazily enough, they still hear the sounds. So those sounds have ways of getting in, but they are so relaxed that they are going to sleep. But there was a couple of occasions that they are going, because of the guided meditation that I get them into before I immerse them in the sound. What happens is that they've said during the sound therapy, and then they've actually experienced spiritual connection. So I had a client in private practice said at the end of it, when we did the leaves on a stream, through the sound and everything, what was coming up for her, like a lot of her inner child. And then her dad, who was passed, her dad was at the stream. So she had a dad there. And then in the one in the community, there's a lady that she just found out she had cancer, and the sound was actually helping her to get to that calm place that she hadn't felt for such a long time. She didn't have a lot of family support around her because she'd recently put a mum into a home, so there wasn't a lot of support for her. And she said to me, my granddad came through. So because afterwards she was emotional, so I went over and spent some time with her. And, and I said, right, is granddad here? And she said, no, he passed when I was a young child. And I'm right, okay, what kind of connection did you have? So we went, I went into that for her, and we explored that a little bit for her. So that brought comfort to her, massive comfort. So what I'm hearing is the feedback is that people are feeling that they can put a heavy weight of what life is bringing to them. They can put it down in the sessions. And, I've got 3 regular, brilliant friends that have supported me from the very beginning, and they come along to every sound therapy I have. And, I know I won't identify, but one of them won't mind me telling you that at the beginning, they found it difficult to really relax, and they couldn't get to the stream at the end of the sound therapy. But by the second or third time, they were just totally immersed in it all and absolutely loved it, and it totally relaxed their body. And people go to sleep, they snore, bodily functions happen because they are so relaxed, and the sound just takes them to another dimension almost.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Can you tell me a little bit about your community work? Because I know that's something that you're starting to do in kind of groups and out within the community, which I think, wow, what a powerful way for people to connect to each other, but also to kind of move through some of this kind of holistic healing work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't experienced going to a few in the community myself. I tested it out with my friends. We went away for a weekend caravan. I said, look, can I bring some instruments and test them along with the guided meditation? Yeah, absolutely. And they loved it. So yeah, they've been my brilliant advocates for me, cheerleaders. So I decided, yeah, I'll book a community centre close by. So I felt familiar with the area, and put it out there. And I decided I needed to put a format together, as I mentioned before. So it was to start with doing the guided meditation to get them into a deep, relaxed state. And I downloaded a meditation. I won't mind telling you, I downloaded one to read off because I was so nervous. I know other people have done it organically and gone through it. It was the body scan.
Yeah.
So I read through that probably for about 6 to 8 months, read through that. And then I would do the sound therapy. Now, I decided to do, because most sound baths are about an hour long. And I just thought, right, that might be a little bit too much for some people. For some people, it's not. But for me, I felt like it was too long. So I thought, right, I'm just going to do about a 30-minute one just to see how people find that. And because of doing that, I thought I'll incorporate 2 guided meditations. So the first one was the body scan, and that was about noticing the sensation. So going to all different parts of your body tensing them, relaxing them and releasing any tension while doing breath work as well. So breathing in, tense up, breathe out, release the tension. Notice how you feel. And then each time I breathe in the peace and the calm, and then breathe out any tension and any stress. And just notice how your body's feeling as you're breathing in and as you breathe out and release the tension. So that's kind of what I do as I go through the guided meditation and just dull everything down with a calm voice. And then I lead from there. Once they're all calm, that takes about 15 minutes. And then I'll go into the sound therapy. And again, that's kind of organically. I have like a little bit of a format that I'll start with the crystal balls and then the Tibetan balls. Then I'll mix them up a little bit. And then I've got a shaman drum, which is the big Indian drum. I've got that. I've got gongs. I've got chimes. I've got block chimes that I walk around with. I've got koshi chimes. And I've recently, very excitedly, bought myself a new gong. It's 18 inches and the sound is just like, oh, it is beautiful. So I'm excited to test that out this Sunday, my next session. And then the final part is actually it's not the final part, there's two more parts. But once I've done the sound part, then I also go into the final guided meditation, which is the short meditation, which is guiding people through a nature area of trees and really noticing the trees. Imagine them walking through that, what it feels like underfoot. They can feel the sun coming through the trees. What can they smell? What can they taste? And then at the end of the trees, they come into an opening of a wild meadow of beautiful flowers, full of colourful flowers. What can they smell? When they run the hands through the flowers, what can they feel? Can they hear the birds singing? The sun's really radiant on the skin. They can feel it. They might be able to feel a breeze coming through for them. And then I've got an app on my phone and it's got the sound of a stream. And I sit and like guide them through. Okay, so as you're walking through the meadow, you can hear in the background there's a stream. And I'm slowly turning my phone up and imagining them getting to the stream. And it gets louder and louder for them. And now you're at the stream. I want you to find a spot that's comfortable for you to sit by. And I want you to notice how you're feeling, what's coming up for you. And while you do this, I want you to imagine just writing it down and then placing it on a leaf. And then I want you to just pop it on the stream and just watch as it floats down and floats down into the meadow until it disappears. And just notice how you feel and the emotions that are coming up. And then I'll read that through them again, like just that little bit about writing it down, putting it on a leaf. And then I'll say, right, and now I'm just going to go quiet for a few moments to leave you with your thoughts and your feelings. And then the stream, the app on my phone, it's kind of gives them that feeling of being really near a stream. And then after a few moments, it's like, right, okay, now I want you to just imagine getting up from the stream and you're just going to walk towards the trees again and walking through the meadow and noticing how you're feeling, that you've left that behind until you're able to deal with it on another day, perhaps. Get them through the trees and then as you breathe in the peace and the calm. You're taking in all the energy of what is around you, the nature, listening to the birds, feeling the sun. And then I want you to set an intention for the week ahead of you, how this is going to look for you, how you're going to feel. And just know that any time that you are feeling under any stress or any pressure, you can close your eyes and you can come back to now and you can go back to your stream and you can put those thoughts on the stream and then come back to them when you're ready. And then what I do is from there, say, right now, I just want you to notice how you're feeling. And I want you to start wiggling your fingers and your toes and start gently, very, very gently waking the body up. So, but before this, I kind of give them a rundown of what's going to happen. Because what's also very important is when people come with other people, when people get into a deep state of relax through the meditation, it's almost like a hypnotic state they're in. What is very mindful that I have to do is, in any of this state, we've got to be careful to bring the body awakened state very, very gently. Or if somebody's with you and they are awake before they are, it's not good to just, you need to wake up. It's not good for them. So Wal says, if you bring somebody with you and they're not waking up, leave, I will help and I will stand over, which I've had to do a few times, now. And people looking around and you can see the smirks of like somebody's gone so far under because they're so relaxed. They are so relaxed.
profound, really, to have that opportunity if it works for you, right? And I'm sure there are people that people don't like it or it doesn't work. Sure. But for that person, that this is their tool, that they can go further under. That's amazing. I guess one of my questions to you, Mary, is like, if somebody wanted to start this or wanted to use it or try it, what do they do? Like, what are the resources out there? Where do they go? What should they go?
What I recommend is to clients, I know we're not meant to recommend, but what I offer to clients is, if you want to start this, because this is something I bring into more sessions, to be honest, is because the mindfulness and meditation, the MBSR, it is researched at how useful this is and how beneficial it is. So with my clients, what I will suggest is that if you go onto YouTube, they have loads, absolutely hundreds of meditations. And I also say, when you are first starting out, as I did, usually about 5 or 10 minutes a day, maybe the beginning of the day, the end of the day, just have a guided meditation. So somebody will do a body scan with you, or, just talk you through a guided meditation, just to get your body used to settling down. Because if you've had a crazy busy life, suddenly going to sitting down for half an hour doing a meditation, it's not going to work. It's going to be too much. The body's going to be like, what's going on here? So doing small amounts. And also the other thing as well is, a lot of people think you've got to sit down with your crossed legs. I can't do that. So it's get yourself comfortable, and perhaps, if you need to sit up in bed or sit on a chair to get you comfortable, that's absolutely fine. Don't put yourself in a position where I've got to sit and I've got to cross my legs. And it's not all about this. It's about stilling the mind and calming the body. So that's basically, and yeah, YouTube offer loads, from shower meditations to body scans. So yeah.
I love that you've mentioned those resources and kind of how to start small, because that's definitely my experience to start this work. I was so anxious and just when I started like 2 decades ago, I couldn't go there right away. I had to start in small increments, trying to build my capacity and build my stamina from there. And it's a while to be able to kind of build up your own toolkit or tool belt regarding what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when I first started, I did those small ones, and now in between every client I've got, and at least 15 minutes before a client walks through my door, I have got meditation music in the background, and I sit, I recenter myself, I ground myself, and I'm able to sit with myself. Sometimes thoughts will come in, which they will for everybody, but you just kind of acknowledge them, because you don't want to dismiss them, but acknowledge them and just say, like, I know you're there, let's just float them on a cloud. Or imagine putting them on that leaf on the stream. Just float them away and just be with your body. And I just center myself, ready for my client coming in. And I'm able to do that, but I can do that even with the sound. I don't need to, sometimes I'll still use the guided. When I was quite poorly before Christmas, I could have had medication, and I chose not to. And I used meditation instead. And I do believe that really helped me to get better. So I can go into a meditation now, and I don't even need music. I can sometimes be somewhere and just sit and just go in that meditative state. But I've been practicing that now for 4 years. So it does take practice to do that.
Yeah. You're practiced at it, and it takes repetition and consistency and kind of building that momentum. And Mary, thank you. This has been such a fantastic conversation. I have loved it. If somebody was listening to this episode and maybe it's their first opportunity to kind of think about a modality, like a holistic modality like this, what would you hope that they would take away with them? What's the one thing that you want them to take away with them?
I think not be afraid to step in, because there might be a little tiny bit of you wondering, but then you think, oh, what's everybody going to think? Because that's quite often what we do. Doesn't matter. Go for it. If you've got the tiniest grain of interest in doing this, go for it. Just absolutely try it. What have you got to lose? A bit of time. But I can promise you the benefits are absolutely immense.
What a great place to push pause. Mary O'Sullivan, thank you so much for being on Tea with the Experts and Dr. Leah Merle. I've really, really appreciated this conversation. And just remind me of your business again on Facebook.
So it is Sunshine and Showers Counselling. And I think it's actually it's not the and, it's the I don't know what you call them.
The little my Bobby.
Yes, the little Bobby. Yes, I think it's that. So try and that. I think it's the and bit. But yeah, it's and I'll post lots on there, positivity, and I'll post memes and put my own little blurb with it as well. But also it's sunshine and showers counselling at gmail.com if you want to email. And my phone number and everything. It's all on the page on Facebook. But yeah, give me a follow, give me a like, and share my work, because by you sharing my work, it means that I'm then able to fulfill my purpose. And it's a purpose that I discovered years ago that I feel like I've been sent here for. You'll be helping to do that by getting positivity out. And not only that, but knowing and learning about yourself. So yeah, just keep going and just don't be afraid to be you, because you're all beautiful human beings no matter what.
That's it. Bring your best self. I love that. Thank you so much, Mary. I hope you are well. Thank you again. And I will definitely see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Mary.